Sit back, relax, and join William and Lee on their journey through the strange and mysterious world.
Welcome to Strange and Mysterious World, Season 2, Episode 22. We have an interesting guest on again tonight by Robert Yule. He is a South African shaman, also known as Sangoma, here in South Africa. So, yeah, looking forward to hearing what he has to say. I've actually spoken to a few Sangomas myself. I was actually working with one. She's left the company that I'm with now, but it was quite an interesting story that you spoke to him and how they get chosen. And I'd like to kind of hear if it's kind of similar to what you told me. So it's going to be interesting. So let's bring Robert in.
Oh, here he is. Let's get him.
Zoom and I are not friends.
There we go.
Oh, there we go.
Are you burning some incense there, Robert?
Yeah.
Or is that your vaping?
It's my big fat joint.
All right.
Yeah, no, this is some pepper. I'm just kind of clearing the air and
What are you using? Some sage?
Yeah, there is brown sage in here, but this is helichrysum.
Okay.
So this is what we use for calling the ancestors. So whenever we do any kind of work like this, we burn in purple just to honor the big guns, So they come in and they kind of guide the process.
Okay, awesome.
Oh, nice. Jeez,
so now, Robert, tell us your journey, man. That's a white Sangoma is like very rare. It's especially in Africa.
Well, actually, let's just give some context to the listeners that in South Africa, maybe you can. Sorry, Robert, just because like it is a very rare thing for a white Sangoma, So if we could just give some context to, because there's a lot of listeners overseas that we don't even know what a Sangoma is. So you can just maybe give us some background.
So actually, there's a difference between a Sangoma and Igriga. So the Igriga, Igqriha. That's how you spell it, and you say it Igri. So there's a click Igriga. So I'm not even saying it properly, But so the Igriga are the traditional doctors. They're the herbalists. They're the ones who work with Muti mostly. And then you get the Sangomas, who are the diviners. They're the people who dance and become possessed, and the ancestors come out. So they normally wear red and white. So you'll see them with big red and white beads, that's the kind of the Zulu northern tribes traditions. Yeah. So they are the kind of, I was going to say possession cult, but I might get into trouble for that, but that's what it is, right? So the Igriga is that's the Xhosa version of that whole story. So they don't believe in being possessed. So they see being possessed as being ill, like there's an illness, Well, that's the traditional viewpoint. So things have changed now. There's so much crossbreeding and cross-contamination and cross-cultural stuff going on that it's difficult to tell actually what a person is anymore, just by the beads they wear and what they look like and all of that. So I'm not a diviner or a spirit medium. So Nyangas in Zimbabwe are the spirit mediums, and then you get the traditional herbalists, who are like the traditional doctors. So that's what I am. I'm a traditional doctor. But early on in my story, I had training from a Sangoma, via a Lakota medicine man. So the two of them kind of brought me up, when I was busy training in Glencairn. So I do have Sangoma stuff with me, and I also trained in the Lakota medicine way as well. So that's also kind of shamanic, and that's also
Mm.
kind of, being possessed and being ridden and things like that. So um,
And so,
yeah.
so Robert, who was the medicine man that you were dealing with? The Lakota medicine man. Who was the guy you were dealing with?
So very interesting cat. David Standing Deer.
Okay.
He trained with a Lakota medicine man. They called him Johnny Two Birds. There's John Eagle Owl, who came out from the States. He was a crazy Vietnam vet who terrorized Cape Town for a good few years. So he was a very, very strong, very often outspoken medicine man. And he spoke, medicine, and he's taught the sweat lodge and the sacred pipe and all of that. So I learned that from his child, who was David Standing Deer.
Okay.
Yeah, so that was my first interaction with medicine people, actually. And to a certain extent, that helped my calling sickness, that kind of kept it at bay.
Wait, before you
Because,
go into calling sickness, just explain what
yeah.
the calling is first. So people know what
Okay.
the calling is, because no one knows what a
Okay.
calling is except for people that know what
People
Sangoma
like
is.
us.
People like you. Okay, so a calling is when your ancestors they become very present in your life, and they kind of start bugging you with dreams and with physical symptoms, because often what happens is there is either a family thing that needs to be dealt with. So some family secret needs to come out, and then there's a family issue. So the families need to be reconciled. And one of them tends to be a traditional healer as well. So that just amplifies the whole story and makes things more florid, So the Twaza, that the Twaza is like the person who is receiving the calling. So the Twaza is the name of the sickness, actually.
So you were the Twaza.
Yeah.
No,
So
no.
I once I became a student, then I became a Twaza, because I was learning my way through this whole story.
Okay.
So yeah, the calling sickness comes in all sorts of ways, and the calling can also be if you have generations of traditional healers and they want you to carry on the family trade, so they want to bring themselves back into the world through you, and you are then ridden by this traditional healer, and then you heal the people, or prophesy, or share truth about stuff, and also mix herds, So sometimes I mix, and I'm not actually physically aware of what I'm mixing, but there's like a voice that says, do this, mix that. No, 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 too much of that, less of that, da da da. So I don't get so much ridden as like there is a guiding voice, there's a guiding thing. So the calling is like a kind of a really, really deep desire to follow the healing arts,
But it manifests, you
And
say, in sicknesses and stuff like that. So what was your calling? How
yeah,
did you experience this calling?
so well, my calling was I went crazy, so mental illness.
Well, but that's quite common though. That's a common
That's
one.
very common.
Yeah,
Well, I mean,
yeah,
like it's common in normal life, but I mean, sorry, in today's age, but I mean, especially with sorry, I'm just making a joke, but in the calling, it's I've heard a lot of sangomas say that they're going crazy, and
yeah,
also especially if they're not from a traditional background, then they
Yeah.
just get put on like psychosis meds and whatever. But
Yes.
if they are from a traditional background and their grandmother's like, oh, you got the calling, then they go and they get help, what do you call it, initiated, and then the psychosis, or they know how to deal with it because now they know what to. Anyway, sorry. Do you? So you carry on. Sorry.
Yeah. So basically, that was my dilemma because I didn't have that traditional background. My mother was a GP. She's also a Roman Catholic, so I was
Ooh.
brought up in a Catholic home. My father's side is Orthodox Jew, but my grandfather converted to Christian Scientist, so kind of cut us off from the Jewish roots. So there was a bit of like a drama, but
what a mixture, the Catholic and the
yeah.
Jew.
So the conversation around the dinner table was interesting.
So the Catholic and the Jew, and then they get a Sangoma son. It's quite a how's that for the trio? How's that for the trio?
Yeah, well, exactly. So the thing is, the calling came down the line from my great grandfather on my mother's side. So my mother followed the calling, but in a different way. So she became deeply Catholic, and then became a physician. So she worked in the medical arts, and so for a lot of ways, she managed to kind of placate the ancestors. But like from an early age, I'd get these really hectic dreams of snakes and dogs and things. But like snakes biting me and lots of water. So me drowning in water and then going into these other realms and flying all over the place and seeing things. And then ghosts, just seeing ghosts everywhere. So seeing spirits and being aware of like the mermaids in the pool that I was going to go and swim at, because in Zimbabwe, it was when I was growing up, it was wild. There were monkeys and stuff in the suburbs, and like hyenas on the outskirts and lions roaming the streets, kind of stuff. You know, so the spirits were really, really alive, and my maid who was looking after me, she was like my second mum. She told me about all of this stuff. So she would say to me, oh, when you go over here, you must be careful of the mermaids and where the mermaids are, and and all of the stories around all of that, like all of the initiations and things that people go into. So they're all stories of people going into the water, and then they're kind of in a semi-lucid state, and they meet all the water spirits and all the other ancestors and beings under the water. And then you never ever eat any of the food that they offer you, because you become heavy and you drown, you see, and you become stuck in that place. So that's one of the tests. And there were all stories about these caves that you would go into, and then you would go into another world and things. So it was amazing how rich that culture really is.
Well, so were you telling her about your dreams? Like, how did she know to tell you the stuff? Like, could she sense that you had the calling, or how was she a Sangoma herself?
No, she isn't a Sangoma, but she's very traditional. And I don't actually know why she told me that kind of stuff. I guess maybe she could see it in some way. She could see that I was, somehow different. So I kind of listened, and when we went to school, we were taught Shona culture as well, because that was part of the curriculum.
Can you speak Shona?
But no, I used to, but it's so gone now.
Okay.
Yeah, but when I eventually left school, I started experimenting with drugs and drinking too much, because that was a way of me to cope with what was going on for me. because the doctors had no idea what was wrong with me. I had these weird eye allergies that they could never work out what was going on with. I had these like mysterious illnesses that no one could kind of pinpoint. I was always sick. I was always kind of in another world, like daydreaming like La La Land, you know? So I was put on Ritalin and all of those kind of mood enhancers and things to try and sort me out. And none of that worked. Um, so eventually when I left Zimbabwe, um, just before I went to Nyanga to go and see, just for a giggle, like, hey, what are they going to tell me? I got two wives and you're going to be married twice and things and two kids. So it was kind of a joke. I had decided that I wasn't going to take any of this seriously, right? So the first thing that the Nanga said to me was, you know why you're here, but you need to really start taking this seriously because you're sick, my friend, and you need to take responsibility for yourself. You need to take responsibility for what's happening and for your gift, So I'm like, yeah, okay, whatever.
And you like what gift, or do you
Yeah,
know
exactly.
kind of what you're saying?
What are you talking about? So like, okay, cool. I'm a musician, so maybe he was talking about that. So anyway, I went to another Sangoma just after that, told me the same thing. And he was completely in a completely different country, but told me exactly the same thing. Like, hey, you need to take responsibility for your gift, you need to take responsibility
Wow,
and own
amazing.
this thing. So then I met David Standing Deer and I started training with him because I was fascinated by medicine, and I thought this would be really cool to learn, and I was drawn to it. There was always like a magnetic kind of draw to sangomas, or spiritual people, healers on things. It was like I couldn't get enough of speaking to them or just being around them. So it was the same thing with David, and I was like learning as everything that I could, and I learned all the ceremonies and the sacred pipe and the inipi, the sweat lodge, and all of that. But there was still that nagging behind, and I was still getting those hectic dreams. So when I graduated from him, the sickness came back big time. Like I was delirious. I didn't know where I was. I couldn't work out. I couldn't see what reality and what fantasy was, There was just there was no clear cut what was going on for me. So my family were going to section me. Yeah. So eventually I went to a traditional healer for help, to my present teacher, Zanamvula. And I asked him, can you help me? Can you train me? Because, I need help here.
So do you think
resigned.
do you think your previous teacher was doing damage, or like do you think he wasn't doing something right, or was he amplifying it? What do you think happened there that it didn't?
I don't know, I've been
Did
thinking
you?
about that so
So when
often.
you were with when you were with Standing Deer,
Yeah.
so I know a little bit about the American Indian traditional healers because I used to be in touch with a guy by the name of Pete Catches. He was quite he was quite he had a place called Oshetiwakan, which is out
Oh, wow.
in North Dakota. So I used to write him quite a bit. Did you ever do a vision quest, a 100 year? It's
Yeah.
a did you do it? It was a 4 day
I didn't do the
quest on.
4 day.
Yeah.
Yeah. I didn't do the 4 day. I didn't do the proper the traditional one.
Yeah.
But I did do vision quests. Yeah. Um, but
Yeah, I think
I
the
think,
4 day one is very important because he
yes.
actually told me quite a few times. He said to me, "Look, a lot of times," and he said this might sound strange. This is like he said this sounds like the weirdest thing, but he'd go and put a. So they use a place called Bear Butte in America, in Dakota, and it's a little like hill, like a little mountaintop where they've
Right.
actually got a sacred circle that they go and put people in there for the 4 days and 4 nights. And he says, "Lee, I promise you, I'll go and drop a guy. I'll do the whole ceremony for him. I'll put him there. He's ready for the 4 days. He's there with his sleeping bag. Because remember now, there's no food, no water.
Yeah.
Just a sleeping bag. That's it. So whatever gets provided, if it rains, you can drink from the water. If whatever gets provided in that circle, you can have. But otherwise, there's nothing. You cannot leave that circle. Now he's kilometers, 10 k's away from Bear Butte. His house or his little mobile home, if you want to call it, it's like miles away. So I promise you, at night, I would just hear this thud, like this boom. I'd go and look outside. The first few times he didn't know. He said, I didn't know what the hell was going on. But then I figured it out. He opened up the door and there this guy was. It's almost like he had been thrown off the mountaintop and dumped at this guy's doorstep. So he says, but it's so important that the 4 days you have to get through it, because when you get to kind of day 3 and you start going into your last day, that's when you start having your visions. That's when the things, the Great Spirit will start, showing you what is where you're supposed to be going, what you're supposed to be doing, where you're seeing that. So he said it's very important that the 4 days is done. So maybe that's why it didn't.
Also, maybe
be.
mixing modalities. I don't know. Like it's weird because you are white and you're being called to be a Sangoma, but so you think like it is mixing the American Indian, Native American, tradition. But then how like you're not part of you're not an indigenous African. So how does it work? Like if you mix it, is it bad? I mean, it's weird, huh?
Yeah.
What do you think about it?
Well, I think actually that my ancestors, they didn't really feel that was good enough. They didn't feel that the grounding in that was enough. So it was an opener, a door opener for sure. And I think the ceremonies and doing the sweat lodge, I got some amazing visions from that. I got some very good direction. And I think the most important thing for me at that point was to try and find a connection, to try and find a way to make a connection. And it was probably towards the end of the graduation phase, when I realized that, okay, there's something bigger that's going on here, and it's kind of whetted my appetite and it's opened the way for things, but there's something something bigger needs to happen here. So I left and I went to Zanavula, to Peter, and I trained with him eventually, but that was after asking, and it was only when I dreamt him and I described my dream to him exactly. And I saw him dancing with me, and I described his regalia, the white beads with his horsehair helmet or hat, with his skirt, and I described all of that to a T. I said to him, what does that mean now? Because I've dreamt you. And he was like, oh, okay, fantastic. Okay, cool. Yes, you can train. You can become Ikriche now. Brilliant. So let's go.
Oh, wow.
So then
Cool.
I had to dress white and, wash my face, and then start with the ubalao and all of that, and then go through all of those ceremonies to become a traditional healer. So he was pushing me to have that dream. And every time we did a ceremony, or I was coming up to a ceremony, he would say, okay, what's your dreams now? What's your dreams? Tell me when you start dreaming of this and this. And then it was uncanny, then I'd start dreaming of like where my water ceremony was going to be, or where my forest ceremony was, or how the fire ceremony was going to happen, things like that. So there was then no doubt that my ancestors were like, cool, you're on board. And then the weirdest thing happened just before I was doing my so you do a ceremony where you introduce your ancestors to each other, and you kind of iron out all the kinks, so you can see who was calling you and why exactly. Were they worried about you, or do they want to carry on the family line, or was there a traditional healer that was being hidden and no one knew about or anything like that. So in this instance, I got a message from a guy who was in Gauteng, and he was quite sick. So he was in the dream state a lot, and I kept coming into his dreams. And so he messaged me and said, "Hey, I need to tell you, I've been dreaming of you a lot, and I've been dreaming of my ancestors as well. And my ancestors, and your ancestors are linked because on my mother's side, one of my grandparents, my grandfather, he was in the African wars, and he killed this person's ancestors. So in traditional African culture, what happens then automatically is that your ancestors then become bound together. So I become that person's nephew.
Oh, because of
So
war. So like his because
yeah,
of the war thing. So, but say, wait a second. So, is this guy? Is he an African guy? Was he a white guy, or
yeah.
is he?
No, he's an African guy.
Okay, so and he fought like your ancestors. They were white guys, and now they're
Yeah,
bound together.
yeah,
Wow,
yeah.
fascinating, man. That's
Because
amazing.
of the murder, because of that murder, the ancestors, um, my ancestors now had to take responsibility for the Duma ancestors. So now the Duma line is part of my line as well.
Oh,
So we
okay.
are. So I'm that guy's nephew.
Okay, so that's how
Okay,
you
so
get the
spiritually,
calling.
spiritually connected.
Yes, the calling from an African tradition.
Yeah.
Okay, makes
So
sense. But
that's why this.
but
That's
then how did he get a hold of you? How did he know you to call you? Like, how did he get your number, or how did that even happen?
you know.
You don't know.
Facebook actually. He stalked me. He had to find me, and he found me, and he like messaged me on Facebook, and he was like, "Bro,"
But
and
he
I
must
was
have got
thinking,
like a
"Hey,
name in his dreams, or like he just
Must
went off
have.
a
yeah,
face.
Must
no,
have.
no,
Must have.
he saw me, he saw my name, he knew who I was, and
Wow,
he
it's
knew
amazing.
he had to find me, so he found me."
Okay.
Amazing.
So I went and I sent all of this stuff to my teacher. I'm like, this sounds scammy. Is this okay? Is this legit? You know, because a part of me was like really excited by this because it made so much sense to me, and it was something that really rang true. But at the same time, there was a part of me that was like,
Skeptical.
whoa, okay. And
Yeah, it's so weird.
that was the skeptic from the beginning, that was the skeptic that was running through my whole story. Like, no, 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 this is not your culture. No, 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 don't get involved. It's fine. You can do whatever you like. You don't have to follow this calling. This is crap, whatever.
Yeah, yeah.
So now, to answer your question, that's why. So there was war. And so the Duma ancestors, they wanted reparations. So they didn't want blood. They wanted me to carry on their family line, which were
Jeez,
Sangomas.
what
So
what
Itlicha,
a
actually.
responsibility. I mean, geez,
Yeah,
all came down
yeah,
onto you like that, eh?
yeah,
Wow.
yeah. So I went to go and see Neil Campbell, who is I don't I suppose he's Nyanga because he's from the Botswana tradition. Um, so he's a spirit medium, right? So I went to go and see him because I thought maybe I could train with him. You know, the first thing he said to me was, "Oh, you're lucky. Your ancestors don't want blood." And I never understood that until I got that message from the Duma family.
Wow. So
Like,
what if they wanted blood? What happens when they want blood?
yo, that's a whole ceremony. That's a big story. So that's usually lots of goats, lots of cows.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so there's like a
Pricey.
good old-fashioned traditional lobola kind of vibes, and to make
Jeez, okay.
reparation and making beer and all of that. So yeah, you know,
Jeez, that's
the the
fascinating,
whole
huh?
s- the whole thing behind the story is um mental illness is not necessarily mental illness, you know.
Yeah, sure.
These days, you don't know. Scientific medicine is it looks at the symptomatic view and not the holistic spiritual view of things, you know.
Yeah.
So for me, the the hallucinations and the seeing things, there was a deeper cause. So I could have easily been dragged into Ward 12 in Zimbabwe and given psychotic medication and
Mm.
zombified on Logacto or whatever it is that they use there, you know.
Yeah, sure.
And I never would be in this position because my ancestors would then knock, 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 knock. They see that nothing's happening, so then they move to someone else in the family and they move down the line, and you get sicker and sicker and sicker. Um, so
But that's quite pretty shit of them to like they knock, you're not doing anything. So then they go to the next guy, but they leave you just being sick. And then so what?
Yeah.
Then they go down the line, and like six guys later, then all of a sudden you like open the door, or whatever, because you're going mentally like insane. And then they're like, "Oh fuck, okay, gotta go 6 guys back quickly. He's opening. Let's get back to him." I mean, how does it work?
Yeah.
Like, or do they just leave you and
Yeah.
you just go crazy? And then this guy
Yeah.
six guys down the line, he awakens to it, and then they're like with him, but now you've gone insane. Like, do they leave you
Yeah.
like that?
Yeah. Yeah. So,
Okay.
the family curse vibe, the whole family, like the family falls apart, there's no work, suddenly they find themselves destitute, there's unexplained illnesses, like, bipolar is like often a big factor in this kind of vibe. Not always, but sometimes,
So you're saying it can be a chemical thing, or is it always a spiritual thing? I mean, like obviously there must be some mental like illness where it is a
Yeah, you
mental
see,
illness, or is it?
that's that's where the that's where we kind of cross over a little bit because um, when you look at illness, um, in particular, so we're talking about the calling sickness, right? So that is a metaphysical thing. So that's on the outside of your auric field coming in. So that's on the outskirts. So it hasn't been embodied yet, but the more you neglect it, the more it kind of eats into your bodies. So it becomes more and more physical.
Mm,
So you get more and more physical symptoms from it
mm,
to a point where those those symptoms become so physical that you become sick
yeah, sure.
with, say, bipolar. So you will get a chemical imbalance because, there is that emotional, spiritual need that's not being met,
Mm,
So your body
yeah,
will manifest that. It will manifest
yeah.
that in symptoms.
Yeah, I mean, I'm a strong believer that all disease has a metaphysical kind of counter
Yeah,
part to it.
yeah,
But
yeah.
so sorry, there was a question I want to ask now, and oh my gosh, it just totally went. Shit. Lee, what
Well,
did you want to
I
say?
actually wanted to find out. So now, if okay, the drowning dreams is that quite an important vision?
Yeah,
Because another lady that I chatted to, the one I was chatting to a little bit earlier on the podcast, she also had the calling. She did her training. She was telling me about the drowning dreams that she used to have a lot of.
yeah.
And then her people around her kept saying to her, "You need to come. You're calling." And she was like, "No, I don't want to do this." But it just became worse and worse and worse and worse and worse for her.
Yes, yes.
And the illnesses. And eventually she said, "Okay, all right, let's just do it." So she did what she needed to do. She did her ceremonies. And then she actually said to me the one day, she said to me, this is probably about a month, because there's an African woman that works in our licensing department at where we are now. And
Right.
she called me one day and she said to me, Lee, I had a dream about you last night. You're on the wrong path. I said, "Well, what do you mean?" She said, I saw your family on one side and you're on the very far end.
Ah,
Something's wrong. You're not on the path that you're supposed to be.
Yeah.
I said, oh, okay. She didn't tell me what I must do, but she just said you're on the wrong path. I said, okay. And then I asked her a question. There was something going wrong somewhere along the line. She said, I think it was a 2 rand or 1 rand. She said, take 2 1 rand coins,
Yeah.
go to the sea, and throw the 1 rand coins into the sea. With that, so explain that to me. Do you know anything about that, or what's about throwing money into the sea?
So yeah, that's about appeasing the ancestors, basically. So it's about looking at who's causing the rift and trying to see who can help to bring that divide closer together. So the two coins, the two 1 rand coins, are symbolic of the one side of the family and the other side of the family. So when you're throwing them into the water, you're using the water as the connecting vessel. So like the cup of so you're putting the two coins into the cup, so you're making one whole thing. So you symbolically are connecting, or attempting to connect both families together and bring both parts of that path together, so that it's kind of like attraction magic, you're attracting the right stuff to you.
Okay.
Does that make any sense?
Yeah, no, it does.
Yeah, totally.
And then another question on my side is how, I don't know if detrimental is the right word. How, let's just use it. How detrimental has the Christian beliefs, so Catholicism, Christianity, Islam, how detrimental has that been to the path that you are currently on? So I'm not saying in your view, I'm just saying in views of, because look, I don't think this I don't think is a cultural thing. Yes,
Yeah.
it's been in the African tradition. I'm talking about Black African tradition, not white African.
Yeah.
Black African tradition forever and a day. But if you go back into the history of humanity, I mean, even us as white people, we had it. I mean, we were, if you go back into the Norse mythologies and the Norse things,
Yes.
it's the same. You were always talking about ancestors. You were talking about, those type of things. So I think it's always been around. We just kind of moved away from it. So how detrimental do you think that's been on us as a human race? Because you were saying earlier, and the reason why I'm saying this is because the madness that we have in this world currently is just astronomically bad. And yes, I know there's a lot of stuff coming. I know there's the stuff from the sun that's coming towards us. The Earth's magnetic fields are shifting. I understand that. I understand the frequencies are increasing. We're getting bombarded. We're becoming mad, and people are thinking they're goats and dogs and wolves, and I'm a woman and a guy, and so I understand all that. I understand this mental issues that are going around. I do. I understand it. Do you think this is all part of the process of like maybe a cleansing, or I don't know? How do you see it?
Well, if you can look at it like that, yeah, absolutely. I mean, a nuclear bomb is cleansing,
No, 100%. Yeah.
Yeah. So I think, okay. So the way I see it, organized religion is, so there's the structures and the organs behind perpetuating the organized religion. They are purely there to make sure that they stay in power. So this is not a knock on religion itself, because religion, I think, is important for people because they need a mythology to follow. They need something that gets them up and gives them hope, and unfortunately, when there's power involved, things get a bit sketchy, you then start being told that no, you're not good enough, the original sin thing, you've got to believe that the earth is flat, right? Because the church believes that the earth is flat. If to go against the church is to go against God, basically. So you get the medieval period or the dark ages where the church power was absolute. Okay. any independent thought, any other thinking around, well, maybe if I try thinking about something differently, like, the Earth's actually round and it's not the center of the universe, that we are heliocentric and we're an ellipse, and so start thinking about all of the metaphysics and the physics of the Earth and the Earth plane. You get burnt at the stake, or you get your hands chopped off, or you get ostracized, da da da. So there was a definite curbing of philosophical thought. The Chinese or the Asian countries were way ahead of the Reformation, way ahead. Turkey, Istanbul, also way ahead of the Reformation, because they were excelling in mathematics, and their philosophies were incredible. I mean, they still are.
And the medicines.
And the medicines, absolutely incredible. Yeah. But then you get organized religion come in and curb original thought, and to bring in dogma because of the ruling class, right? So the ruling class decree that this is how it's supposed to be. The church then has a relationship with the monarchy, and there's some kind of trade-off and payoff. And because the monarchy is wanting to curry favor with the organized religion and vice versa, there's a mutual agreement that, okay, this is how we will treat the peasants. This is how we treat philosophy. Okay, burn those at the stake because those are witches, right? Don't do that. Don't listen to women because women don't know what they're talking about, blah, blah, blah. So you get like this downtrodden of humanity. So you get a dumbing down, definitely.
Yeah, but that's
so it's either like it's my way or the highway. That's
why exactly why that was the Dark Ages, because all philosophy, art, music, everything just stopped, and nothing progressed in any of those fields dramatically, or it's science or anything. Yeah, so it was the Dark Ages. So Christianity was completely responsible for the Dark Ages.
Yeah. Well, look, I mean, the Vatican were the biggest sponsors of Reformation art, So Raphael, Michelangelo, all of those big cats, they were all careful about what they did. Leonardo da Vinci, was slightly more underhanded. I think there was some kind of underhand hidden mysticism that was going on in that kind of
because
medieval
apparently
art
he
as
was
well.
part of like the Rosicrucians, and he was
exactly.
initiated a lot of the mystery schools and that anyway. But he was in some of his paintings, there's some people say, oh, there's a little bit of that there that's kind of from a mystery school.
Always hidden messages to others that knew where to look. They would so they carried on that underground knowledge.
So actually, you could say that for the masses, for the greater masses, it definitely did dumb down, and it definitely did impact negatively on people's beliefs and own values, really. But for the initiates, for the people who knew, the people who understand, who could read and write, and who were the underground philosophers, it was a huge time of exploration and looking at the text from the Middle East, because a lot of stuff came back into Christendom from the Crusades, and a lot of it was like not so cool. The Knights Templars were a big example of that. So they were then accused of heresy and all sorts of things, because they obviously had found a whole stash of amazing manuscripts, read them, and thought, oh my God, well, what are we doing? And the Vatican obviously didn't like that very much, because they want absolute control.
Yeah, 100%.
So I mean, it's a rabbit hole. You
So,
can really get stuck into
so,
that.
so what did your parents think of all of this? Because you got from both sides of the world, both sides of the. I mean, did you have an uncle that was a Muslim? Geez, then you would really be into, like, you'd have the Muslim, the Jewish, and the Christianity.
Hey, well,
All Abrahamic religions.
yeah, exactly. So I mean, so my father's line come from Lithuania. So hey, it's very possible that I've got some Muslim ancestors somewhere. Um, but I think for the most part, I was brought up Catholic. So we went to church and we did the whole thing, and I was a choir boy and altar boy and things like that, and you know, um, and there was a time where I really got into it, because it satisfied a need for a bit. It gave me the hope and that feeling of not being alone, really. But once I started seeing through all the cracks, and getting kicked out of Sunday school and things for asking questions, then I kind of got a bit jaded quickly and started thinking, this is, it's a simple question. Can't you answer it? Throw me out. Why? And that they lost me. Yeah.
Now I've been through that. Trust me. That's
Yeah.
why I'm laughing, because I've been through that. Yeah.
Yeah. So then I found the rebellion, when I was a teenager, heavy metal and all of that, the underground culture of that, and all the exciting stuff and the darkness, and that was all very appealing. And that was for me very important at the time as well, because that also gave me a philosophy. That gave me something to pin my hat on for a bit.
Mm.
All right. So
So
anyway, now fast forward in time. So now
yeah,
you've done your training. You've now qualified.
yeah.
So tell me, is it, I don't know. So how do you get here? How do people come to you? Is it like word of mouth?
Yeah.
Can they find you on websites? How does it work? How do you?
So I've sprayed myself everywhere as much as possible, with social media. So I'm on Facebook and on Instagram, and I post occasionally. I do stuff like the Montague Herb Festival. I was a speaker there. I also exhibited there. So I've got a mobile apothecary, which I set up. I do Saturday mornings at the McGregor Market as well. So I'm very active there with my apothecary, and so visitors come and see me, and then I pass my business card around, and usually it ends up being word of mouth anyway. So we were taught never to explicitly advertise yourself. Allow the patients to come to you, because then you know that they really need you. It's not like you looking for bucks, really. It's
Also, a great healer here in Cape Town said to me, well, you mustn't trust a healer that advertises, because then
yeah.
then you know it's not
Yeah.
working.
Exactly. Okay.
Okay,
No.
and then so is this your main form of income? So is this your primary business, or I shouldn't say business? Is this your primary thing, or are you actually working elsewhere, and this is like kind of a, I don't know.
Well,
I shouldn't say sideline. What's the thing? What's the word I'm looking for?
yeah. So this is my main focus, and I supplement with carpentry.
Okay, that's pretty cool.
So carpentry work and that kind of stuff. And that keeps it real, because I think if you are primarily doing this as a means to survive, then you kind of get jaded and start thinking about chasing money and the bottom line, and shit, I've got bills to pay and this is not working and I need to put up my prices, and you think about that kind of stuff.
And it could like influence
it
the
kind
whole
of
thing.
taints it a bit, I think. So I like having two. And actually, I have quite a few patients who have spoken to me about bombing their corporate jobs because they're feeling jaded and they don't want to work there anymore. And I'm like, for God's sake, don't do that. Don't. Find a way of being
Supplementing.
happy, yes, and supplement. So do this. Yeah, yeah, absolutely. In your free time, whenever you can, do this.
Mm.
But for God's sake, look after yourself first. Because this, this traditional healing or healing modalities or whatever you're doing is a gift,
Mm.
you know,
Mm.
and you can't really charge for your gift. You can charge for your time. But you can't charge for the healing. It's not yours. You are
The vessel.
you're the vessel. Exactly. You're the hollow bone, right?
Mm.
So you must allow the ancestors to work through you to do this, So, I sell herbs and I make remedies for people. So I don't charge for my time there. So I make little concessions, wherever I can to kind of make sure that I'm not always focused on the money. With the carpentry jobs and all of that, I quote and make sure, okay, cool,
Mm.
I make sure that I pay that the client pays for the nails and for the screws and for the wood and the roof sheeting and all of that kind of stuff. That's all factored in. You can't really do that with traditional healing because you don't know what you're going to expect to do. You could be going in for thyroid issues, and then you see, oh shit, they've got ghosts and all sorts of things. I mean, actually, there's a family thing that needs to be sorted out, and and it becomes exponential. How do you charge for that?
Mm.
So,
but I think it's fair enough to charge. I'm saying, because if you go look back in the traditional times, yes, they might not have come with money, but they would, if they would come to see a doctor, they would say, listen, man, my wife is sick. Here's a chicken, or I've got 6 eggs. Can you please take this as a donation? So of course you would. I mean, in any traditional healing, it's a norm. You can't have the poorest man on the block trying to heal you, because and he's not living. I mean, how does that work? I mean, even the monk priest and that, you've got to pay them to do a job. So it's fair enough. I mean, it's fair to look. Obviously, you don't want to be exorbitant and charge so much that you guys can't afford. But you know what I mean. It's there has to be, and it's the world that we live in. Unfortunately, that's how it is.
Absolutely.
So Robert, so all of your not healing, your calling sicknesses, did they all go away? The thing with the eyes or whatever else?
Yeah.
Like as soon as you just took it up, it just miraculously disappeared.
That's usually when you can tell that the path that you're on is correct. It's working. Is when all of those mysterious illnesses suddenly clear up, just gone.
Wow.
So I'm thinking maybe, Robert, I'm thinking, because I know William for a while. I think you've missed recalling.
Yeah.
I think you missed recalling, dude, because you've had problems like for the last few years. I think they've given you a skip.
Well,
they've gone to somebody else now, and you keep with the problems.
That's the thing. Like the people, like I go to all these spiritual like healers and stuff, and they're always saying like, no, dark night of the soul. And I'm like, I've been going through dark night of the soul for 40 years. Like, when does it end? It's just like, please God, just can I die now and then just be at peace? No, I'm saying, but like, but
So
also you know what? Also the best thing is that I go see like a psychic or like a healer or whatever.
yeah.
And I sit there and we talk about stuff, and at the end they go,
You're crying.
no, you see, on the other podcast, I talk about like me crying about something or whatever, and then Lee thinks I'm just
Will's a crying guy.
I'm a good crier, but no. But so I go, I sit there with the healer or whatever for like an hour or whatever, and at the end, they say to me, "The answer's within you," and I'm like, "Am I paying you $900 to tell me the answers?" That's why I came and saw you, because I've been I've been meditating for like 4 hours every day. I cannot find the answer within me. That's why I've come here and I'm paying you 900 rand, and now at the end you tell me it's within me.
Go and see Robert, William. Make a plan. Go and sit down with Robert.
But,
Yeah, look, so you know what they're saying. It's what the healer said to me. Like, you know what the story is. That nagging when you wake up at 5 o'clock in the morning or 4 o'clock in the morning, and you sit with this stuff mulling in your brain, and you have a heavy heart, that stuff needs to come out. And the dark night of the soul is about you finding your purpose, but more than that, it's about you finding peace with what you've got and making it your calling. So there's many ways to skin a cat. So, for example, in the tradition that I was initiated into, we stopped slaughtering. So, like the traditionals in the family were like, "Ooh." So, the ancestors are going to be sad. They're going to be cross and very hungry. And, what are you going to do with that story? And so we found a way of approximating that and seeing if it works. And then offering, for example, I needed a goat. So I needed goat skin. I needed to have a goat as a sacrifice to my mother's line. Because they were the primary ones calling me. So, they're like, okay, send it. So I was in Oudtshoorn somewhere, and I went into this little gift shop, and I tripped over a goat skin and like fell on the floor, and I cracked my head, and I'm thinking, fuck, what was going on here? And then I realized, this is the one, because there was like a instant recognition, like, I know you. I've seen you before. So I bought the goat skin, and that night I had a dream of my ancestors like dancing, going, yeah, this is right, perfect. Because whenever you dream something, in some way, you need to act on it so that your ancestors get the idea that they're understood, that you can read the shorthand, So they wanted a goat, I gave them a goat. So they also, like, when we graduate with our Nkwamba, we need a cow, and we need the cow tail, this guy, because this is our graduation certificate. So I was given this in Konkon, which is the wildebeest. So that's that sorted that out. And then also I was saying to my teacher, I need a cow skin. And he messaged back and said, well, here. There was one round the corner from him. So it was an antique, and that's this one here. And it was going for like 1,000 rand. It was like ridiculously cheap. It was the same with my goat skin. It was like 250 rand, like ridiculously cheap. So it's stuff like that, So when I got my cow skin as well, it was also, I also dreamt, hey, cool, you're on it. So
okay, let me ask you something while in dreams.
yeah.
So there's certain months of the year, and I've noticed this through probably the last 8 years, from end of September to probably beginning mid-Jan. I remember my dreams often, and it's like vivid. And then thereafter, I cannot, it's like dead sleep. I don't remember them at all for the next part of the year. And then back to that, I can remember my dreams most of the time. So is there meaning to that? Is there a reason why that is? A. And B, is there a reason? Maybe you can answer this, maybe you can't, that's fine. But how can somebody recall their dreams better? Is there a technique that somebody can do maybe before going to bed, or something special that they have to eat, or something that they can, when they wake up in the morning, say, oh shit, okay, here's the dream that I had, and write it down, do whatever, because I cannot for the life of me. I dream a lot, I know, because sometimes I wake up at 2 a.m, think, I must try and remember that, and go back to sleep, and I cannot remember squat.
Yeah. Well, that's where you've got to get up, keep a dream journal,
But to write at 2 a.m, I'm like Back to sleep.
Yeah. So often what people do is they'll have like one of those old school tape recorders or like the dictaphone.
Okay.
And they'll wake up, press a button, go, okay, so I dreamt about blah 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 blah. Click, go to sleep again.
Yeah.
And then
Okay,
wake up
that's a
in the
pretty good
morning,
idea.
listen to it and go, oh, okay, cool. That's what that meant.
Okay, that's actually not a bad idea.
You know, so the whole idea is to try and work in a way of when you wake up remembering what you dreamt in the moment. So the first thing you do when you wake up in the morning is start writing, journaling. If you're blank, write down, this is blank. I don't know I can't remember my dreams, da 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 da. You can even write da 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 da, you know, just as
Yeah.
long as you kind of getting that and keep doing that. You keep doing that, keep doing that, keep doing that. And eventually it will start sparking memories of your dreams. And you just start writing those sparks. So like
It,
even the
it
tiniest detail.
it's so funny that you mention that, because I've been keeping a dream journal for like the last 2 weeks now because I was doing a Kabbalah class and then the lady was like thinking about dream journal. So I've been doing that, right? And it's been
Yeah.
helping. The only problem is that I've started to dream so much that it's like I sit there in the morning and it's like I can write like 3 or 4 pages. So like now I'm just abbreviated. I'm just like, okay, saw, trash can, lollipop, like so now I'm just trying to because otherwise I'll sit there for an hour writing
Mm.
everything. But the thing is that it's such shit. It's such like the it's not nice feeling the dreams. So then the whole day I'm like I can remember these dreams. Like I'll carry this feeling through the day now of these bad dreams. They're not like nightmares. It's just like uncomfortable, like not very nice dreams. Like it's like got a sense
Take a
of anxiety.
recorder, record it. Like so,
So,
so when
so,
you're in your car,
so it's like even now
record.
I can think of the dreams that I was dreaming about last night, and it's like not a good feeling, and it's like it's
Mm.
so weird.
So record
Yeah.
it because
Yeah.
then you can record the whole thing while you're talking. You can say, all right, instead of writing it down, because if you can remember it vividly, writing it down takes too long. Because by the time you got to the end of the page, you've actually forgotten half the stuff you're dreaming
Yeah.
about. So
Yeah.
just talk about it. So, all right, so this is what happened. I did this, I did that. I went here, I saw this, I saw that person. This is what happened in the dream. And then maybe a week later, go back and listen.
No, but what's
Say, all
interesting
right,
is that
shit.
I'm starting to see patterns. Like I see
Yeah.
things now that I'm dreaming about the
There you
same
go.
thing.
Yeah, there you go.
Like for
See,
some
see that?
reason, there's a toilet. Like there's always a toilet issue. Like I'm trying to find a toilet, but they all like blocked and they overflowing. And I'm like, I mean, what the fuck does that mean? And then also another one is I'm fishing and I always catch like something really shit, like just the head of a fish or like something that's really like scary. I don't know. So,
Wow. Yeah, so um that's all like you're looking into your subconscious and you like worried about what you're gonna find, you know?
Mm.
And you worried about going through something that it's going to open up this can of worms and you're not going to be happy with it. And it's going to freak you out. Because the clue to what you're dreaming is how you feel about it. Because that's your psychic sixth sense, if you will,
mm,
of what actually is going on. Because that gives you the clue of what you're dreaming. Because if you know, you can just like I mean, you can dream of skeletons and people walking down the road and da da da, and you get freaked out by it, and you know, but actually, what you were really dreaming about was Halloween, right?
mm. It's so
But
funny in that Kabbalah class that see, I'm calling a rabbi a shaman now. The rabbi, she was saying that like in some Kabbalistic text or one of the famous Kabbalists said that dreams are 60. She's now I'm going to really fuck it up now, but 16% actual prophecy or 60%. See now such a big difference, but it's what she's like a
yeah,
certain
yeah,
amount of the dream is actually a prophecy.
yeah. So, you know, you can really go to town with the symbolism of the dream, you know. But eventually you with your dream journal, what you're doing is you're creating a dream dictionary, actually, because what you feel about a toilet is completely different to how I feel about it. You know, if I dream about a toilet, it doesn't mean the same thing as what you dream. So those generic dream journal things, those are bullshit. You know, they give you a kind of an archetypal view of what it might mean.
Yeah,
But
sure.
because of your context, because of your upbringing and your lens, you don't relate to the toilet in the same way,
Exactly.
you know?
So the answer's
So
within. So
there we go.
The answer's within the toilet.
Answers are within.
That's full of shit.
Is that to pay $900? No, I'm just like,
Yeah, I'll take it. So,
but,
you know, the you know, jokes aside, the answers within is actually what they're saying is you will learn how to interpret your own dreams, and you'll learn how to prophesy from that to better your life, because also it's your superconscious and your subconscious bringing up archetypal stuff for you. So it's also bringing up psychological issues that are nagging you, that things need to be discussed, you know, that needs to be exposed and talked about. So, you know, there's a whole story with the Jungian dream therapy. You know, they go into depth about what the toilet actually means to you, and why are you dreaming about it in relation to the fish head or whatever, you know? There's a connection there between the two. What do you think the connection is?
Lee, I think the name for this episode must be Toilet Dreams. must be Robert the
Okay, so
White
now-
Sangoma and Toilet Dreams.
There's another important question I want to ask you here. And Krida Mutwa actually had quite a lot to say on this topic.
Yeah.
The gray aliens.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah, this is a good one.
What is their prominence in the traditional healing? Because he had a lot to say on that.
So, you know, those kinds of things are really dealt with the spirit mediums and the diviners. You know, they're in, and the traditional storytellers. You know, the wisdom keepers. Yeah, man, they've been around for a long time, you know, and so the greys are apparently not to be trusted. The greys aren't the ones that are the beneficial ones. There's another species apparently that is. I mean, I don't know.
Okay.
Does this come up
Not really
does this,
part in your
is this does this come up in your lineage, or have you ever seen or dealt with any of that kind of thing? Even with the
I
patients?
mean,
clients?
we do deal with aliens, but we deal with the small little ones. So these guys present themselves as kind of cigar-shaped kind of grubs almost, that they stick themselves onto your back, and they fit you with all sorts of surveillance equipment and kind of watch you. So usually it's people who feel like they're being watched all the time.
Okay, hold on. Let's take a step back.
yeah, this is like wow.
Let's go back. Okay, so this is interesting. All right, cool. So, because when you were talking a little bit about the little guys, I'm thinking, okay, you're probably talking about the elementals, you know, like the nature.
I'm thinking, yeah, fairy, like
and
a
the
gnome.
fairies and the sprites and that kind of stuff. Okay, so
Yeah.
all right, so so you say they look like cigar shape,
Like slugs.
Yeah, they've got I presume that those are the vessels that they come in, you know. I've
Okay.
never seen what's inside them.
Yeah.
So
So you've actually seen these things?
Yeah, on people's
Yeah.
backs.
Okay. Shit.
Yeah.
Wow.
So-
Could you do Zoom consult, what do you what like
Consultations. Yeah.
can you see that in a Zoom call?
Yeah.
Wow.
Okay. So what do they look like? So I'm assuming they sit in your aura. So they sit in one of your aura layers, which might be their emotional.
Yeah. So they sit as close as they can to your body.
Okay.
And normally on your back. So they're super skittish. If you spot them, they bolt normally. And then you've got to then you've got to pull all of their equipment out. So the equipment that they leave behind is it's a weird mix of gel and circuit boards. But if the circuit boards could be made of gel, that's what they look like.
Shit.
Yeah, so usually in your hands, behind your eyes and your temples, there's usually something that comes over here like that. There's a kind of a microprocessor thing that they implant usually in the back of your skull here, which feeds back information to them about what you're experiencing, how you're experiencing life, what you're doing. So I presume we're just one big petri dish for these guys, you know?
Jeez, and how does the person get
This is like
that?
a completely different story to where I was going.
Yeah,
I
no,
was
but now
not expecting that at
the
all.
name's changed. Scrap the toilet. We're going to put aliens there now. It's slug aliens.
Like aliens, yeah.
So now so how do you see these things? Is it like I'm assuming it's part of the gift that you have.
Yeah. Well, I've learned to see them. I've learned to see them because I've
And how many people have you seen them on? I mean, I'm assuming if you're walking, say you're walking in the mall, and can you see, are they quite prominent? Are they on a lot of people?
They are on a lot of people, yeah. Yeah, they are on a lot of people.
Well, hopefully I don't have one on me.
Yeah, can you see one on us?
You got four.
Four, but
No, I'm joking. You don't, you guys are clear, except for you've got a Tokoloshe on your leg. So on your right leg.
Well,
Leo Will.
William.
Me.
William. Yeah.
Yeah, I told you, dude. I told you
Fucking hell. Jeez, now I'm going to be scared going to bed tonight.
So do you put your bed on bricks?
Was that a thing?
No.
I mean, I know the bricks on the bed story. I know it very well, but so should I do that?
Because they can't reach.
So right now there's a Tokoloshe on my leg.
Yeah.
So how's it affecting me? Is that why I'm so miserable all the time?
Yes, must be why you're miserable.
So it usually affects you with being clumsy, like one or both legs feeling really heavy. The Tokoloshe cause arthritis. So they're the main reason behind the arthritic kind of condition. So that's why they affect your hands, because your hands hang down and they also then eat the energy from your hands.
But because Robert, I'm not like my left knee is because you said the right leg, but my left knee is so sore. Like for the last 3 days, it comes and goes, but it's flaring up now. So it's funny that as soon as you said Tokoloshe on the leg, I was like, oh my god, no, that's that pain.
Okay.
That's the craziest thing. So how do I get rid of the $900, huh?
$900. No,
I'll bring some eggs and a chicken.
All you do is so you can just remove them and like just pull them off and take them away. So the chances are that you probably will attract them again, because you are not connected to Mother Earth at all. You don't spend time on your knees connecting with Mother Earth. So what we recommend is people who struggle with Tokoloshe infections all the time. So people who get arthritis all the time. So your knee is a perfect example of that Tokoloshe pain, right? And they move around your body as well. So your lower extremities usually. So that's like classic. So what you got to do is you've got to get on your knees. So you stand on your knees, right? And you imagine that your lower legs swing down into Mother Earth and connect with the Earth chakra. Yeah. And then what happens is automatically the vitality that Mother Earth makes for you kind of gets swept up into this whirlpool, which goes down into your earth center, and that gets sucked up into the rest of your body. So you then are able to use it
Wow.
because you're connecting yourself like a tree,
Jeez.
and you're not walking around. You haven't pulled yourself out of Earth and like the rest of humanity, because we've kind of distanced ourselves from Mother Earth. We kind of on this no man's land of we're not quite animals where we used to be, but I don't know what we are now. We're kind of in between. So there's a feeling of being left stranded in limbo. This connects you back into Mother Earth, plugs you into nature again. So you're now part of the natural process. And you then get the benefit of the mana or the earth's vitality. That stops you from getting the Tokoloshe all the time. Because
there's a network called the Mycelium Network.
Yeah, that's all part of the story.
Yeah. You've heard about that, Will?
Yeah.
Yeah, no, of course. Yeah, but what is your take on magic mushrooms?
So
I don't know, Robert, we're gonna keep you all night. I'm sorry. What's the time now? This is like 6, 7. Oh, so we're not too bad. What, 1.5 hours? You got another 20 minutes to talk.
Okay, cool. Yeah, so because of my psychosis and all of my kind of not quite seeing reality for what it is, I don't go anywhere near psychedelics.
You don't need them.
But
no, they say that don't. If you've got a problem with a mental illness, don't go near it.
Yeah, I'm a bit like Obelix, I guess. I kind of fell into the pot when I was a baby. So
okay.
No,
you
I've
see
got
it
the
without the mushrooms.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh yeah, geez, if
So
I've seen
learned-
Tokoloshes, I'd be shitting myself.
Yeah, but that's the thing, once you get used to seeing
Would I be
things,
able? Maybe it would be interesting. I don't know.
then you don't the whole trick is to not be afraid, because as soon as you are fearful, you're judging them.
Yeah.
And when you judge them, then you're attacking. And when you attack, you open yourself up to war. And then all sorts of things climb in because, you disrespected my brother, blah, blah, blah. And then you're asking for it, because suddenly the cousin comes in and like, hey, what's going on here?
They're just as petty as humans.
Yes.
So quickly, Rob, now I want to move off William's problem.
What about me?
I want to go back to those alien beings.
Yes.
That climb to. So how do they move around? I mean, are they spirit beings?
So I guess you would call them interdimensional beings, right?
Okay.
So they move in between dimensions, and so they would be they're fifth or 60. They say that there's 60 dimensions.
Okay.
So 6 dimensions. So they're kind of on par with gods,
Okay.
So they've got those kinds of powers. And I think that those cigar things are the craft, or they're kind of remote kind of drones in a way. So they're there to just connect the surveillance equipment and to kind of feed the channel back to the mothership, I guess. Wherever that is or however that is.
And I'm assuming the way to get rid of these guys would be, because I know I think Sean mentioned it, Sean McNamara. I think when Kiara Windrider, we had a discussion with him last week regarding certain things. He said the way to protect yourselves against certain negative energies that like to attach themselves to your whether one of your astral bodies is to imagine like a white light, like you've got to almost have this light that goes around you. It's almost like a protective.
Yeah.
And I'm assuming that's something like that would be able to get rid of these things.
Yeah. Well, you see, that's the trick behind connecting to Mother Earth. So that basically does that. So the energy that you create accumulates, so you become like almost like a torus, the donut ring of the universe.
Yeah, the rings, yeah.
Because the energy circulates up your center line, Okay. And then it radiates down the side of your
The aura.
outside of your auric field. Well, just the inside of the last layer, your crystal body.
Yeah.
So it kind of circulates around, and then so forwards and backwards, and then sideways on the left and the right. So what you're doing is you're then creating this toroidal field,
Yeah.
right, which is then kind of increasing your energy because it's creating the void in your heart space, and it's making the heart space grow much, much bigger. So this is the way into the universe. Your heart space, it's no accident that when you see in Sanskrit what the sound is for your heart space, it's Om.
The yeah.
Yeah. See, which is the sound of the universe. So it makes complete sense. But
I mean, if you look at the magnetic field of Earth, it does the same. It's a toroid, because
exactly
it kind of comes out from the center and it goes around to
Yeah.
all the poles. It works around. And that's
Yeah.
kind of how it works. Okay.
Yeah.
Interesting.
So when you are open-hearted and you have that complete connection with everything around you, it's like you are completely humble and you're completely equal to everything around you, to all beings. Doesn't matter who or what they are, and that's the trick, to be equal to everybody, so that there's no reason to attack you, there's no reason to feed off you, because you're using all of your energy. There's no excess, there's no waste. The only reason why you have Tokoloshe or Mpundulu or any of those other beings like ghosts or whatever is because you are wasting the energy, and the universe abhors waste, right? So it'll find someone to mop up the waste for you. So the cleaning crew will come in and take the
Like the
excess energy
vultures
off
or
you.
the ants or or like
Exactly.
the hyenas in the bush or whatever.
Yeah. The
Shit.
problem is, though, because we've run ourselves down so much, and we don't replenish that heart space energy, the being that is feeding off you then now wants to possess you, now wants to eat you, because it's got a taste for you, because you are producing the energy, and it becomes greedy. So there's not enough, it wants more, and you are made of that energy, so it wants to eat you. And because it's eating and feeding on you, right, then you start getting all of these arthritic conditions, speaking about the Tokoloshe. And then, when that happens also, it means that your crystal body, the body that is protecting you, is cracked, it's flawed, it's brittle. In the normal healthy human, the crystal body is quite elastic, and it's quite supple, it's soft, so it repels wounds. And that is how those aliens get in as well, through those cracks in your crystal body. They get through the cracks in your defenses.
So how do you keep that defense strong?
Their way in.
So how do you keep it strong? To do the knee
You just got to
thing.
keep doing the meditation.
Get the knees, get on your knees.
The on the knees thing, yeah.
Is that it?
Because
how long do you have to do the knee thing for?
Hours.
The whole day.
I'm at my desk outside. Like people do those standing desks or the other funny. I'm just going to kneel in the garden with my desk there.
Yeah. No. So basically what you need to do is when you wake up in the morning, you go and have your breakfast, right? So you go and stand on your knees and you just consciously sink your feet into the ground, connect with Mother Earth, and just feel that beautiful energy circulating around you for 5 minutes or whatever. That can be part of your meditation even. And then the trick is to slowly stand up, stretch the distance between your heart space and Mother Earth. And if you're doing it properly, so if you really do it, if you open your eyes, you'll get a shock at how tall you are suddenly feeling, you know? Or actually, when you open your eyes, you feel fucking shorter than I feel. You know, what's going on here?
And tell me
Because you are.
the old wives' tale, which I don't think is a wives' tale, but the old idea about actually going out into your garden barefoot,
Yes.
you know, walking on the grass, walking
Yeah.
in the not with shoes, because I think this is kind of where we also lost it a lot. I mean, you know what I mean? People used to walk around in the fields and bare feet. We've lost that connection with now all the bloody rubber that's between us.
Yeah, we have. And there's a very simple experiment, you know. So you can hold a voltmeter and have a look, and you'll see that you accumulate voltage. But as soon as you go outside and you earth again, you lose that. You know,
Yes, because
all
I've
the
done it a
static
lot. I even
yeah.
bought the earthing sheets and the earthing blanket and the earthing pillow, and I sleep with it. Actually, you've got my earthing pillow as well because I've tested it. I've held the voltmeter, touched the pillow, and it goes straight down to zero.
Yes.
But I mean, but then the thing is, because I watched that earthing documentary, or what is it, the grounding? Because it's also so funny in the spiritual circle. There's earthing and there's grounding, and some of the people that I've spoken to, they say do not ground because we're trying to transcend, and if you grounding, then you're taking your vibration down. But you've got to earth because then if you earthing, then the vibration that you're holding, the negative one, goes into the earth, and it's just like, oh my God, who do I believe here? What's going on? Who actually knows what is going on? Like I get so frustrated, you know, because then this person thinks they know, and this person thinks they know, and then at the end of the day, I'm just like, and I'm sleeping on grounding cushions and pillows, and I'm now got a Tokoloshe on my leg, so it's obviously not working.
So you know, William, you've got to. That's so okay. One of the things that my teacher told me and drummed into all of us was, don't listen to other people, experience it for yourself. If it's true for you, then it's true. So test it.
No, but
that's
true,
it works.
That's what I've been doing. I've been testing so many things, but I'm actually coming to the conclusion that I think it's like, I mean, I'm sure like some of it works, but I think it's just a lot of it's a placebo thing. So if you believe it works, it will work. You know?
Yeah. So the whole thing about not grounding because we're trying to ascend and all of that, I don't see that at all. I think that's not true from my own personal experience, because I've grounded, right, completely. And when you ground, you plant yourself into Mother Earth's kind of mainframe. So you're tapping into a much bigger power, much more beautiful energy, because you're tapping into the spiritual mycelium network of the heart space forest, which is here. And if you go inward for eternity. So one exercise that we do is you ground and center, so you know, which is doing that whole thing. And then you use that as a kind of as your spaceship. And then you move up into each of the realms. So you start with the base chakra realm, and then you move up to your sacral and your solar plexus, and then your heart space realm. And you see what that's like, and then you go to your throat, and then you go to your third eye, and then your thousand petal lotus, and then you go to your moon, which is just above here, which is your Akashic records, yeah. And then just above here is your sun chakra, and then above that is the crystal body, and then you go to the stars, and then you see the nebula, and then you see Andromeda galaxy or whatever. You see a galaxy, and then you zone in and you see the sun in that galaxy, and then you become part of that sun.
Yeah, but how the hell are you doing all this? So okay, so you've got I understand you've got your chakras. I understand you've got the seven things. So are you meditating on each one, and are you seeing these certain things? Okay, so
is that in our traditional like African traditional culture, the chakras.
Yeah, very loosely. They're not chakras. They're just, there's
Energy
it's a
points.
center line, there's pressure points and all that kind of stuff,
That's pretty cool.
you know.
Wow.
So I don't know, I might get shut down for saying yeah, absolutely, but I don't know.
But I think everything connects somewhere. I mean,
Yes.
there's definitely energy points. So
Yeah,
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 we might call it by the Eastern tradition, which is chakras,
yeah,
but it might be known as something else in the
yeah,
local tradition.
yeah.
So sorry,
So-
Robert, I'm like such a different question, but there's this new trend of this constellation. I don't know if you know this family constellation
Family
stuff.
constellation.
It's like a big
Yeah,
fad at the moment, like, and they say it comes out of the Zulu tradition of like the ancestral tradition, and it's
yeah,
exploded all over the world. I'm actually want to go
yeah.
to one in next, I think 2 weeks time. But like, what do you
Amazing.
think? What do you think of that?
It's amazing. It is. It's a very interesting, useful therapy, and it works amazingly well. It's mind-blowing, actually. It it's quite profound how people take on aspects of your family. If you are the constellator, um, so you know, people will then come to your family constellation and constellate with you, and then suddenly turn into your old goggle, and it's quite mind-blowing how accurate it is. But it works really, really well. So, um, yeah, I've utmost respect for that therapy. And then it's how I suppose it's how Sangomas have always worked, because actually even in Gleika, because we throw the bones, right? And each of those bones constellates. It becomes a part of your life. It becomes part of your family. It becomes part of your telling of your story, which is how family constellations work. And um, you get bone throwing therapy, where you have these workshops where people throw for themselves, and they learn how to do it, and they learn how to collect all of their icons. So people like Barbie doll boots and things, and shells and stuff, and they turn them into um, symbolic images of a particular aspect of their life, and then they'll use that as a way of
Like a
um,
talisman.
yeah, but it's like play therapy. It's
Mm.
amazing,
Oh,
absolutely amazing, and it's very similar to family constellations in that way, which
oh,
is really interesting.
amazing. And
Yeah,
then also when you were initiated, would you call it initiated, or what would you call it?
initiated.
Initiated. It's an endow, hey, the water spirit, right? Or was it Nguni? Sorry, endow.
Yeah, so the endow is a different tradition.
Okay,
Um, yeah, so that's the endow sangomas are a different story altogether.
okay. So a
So
reason why
they
I asked,
they work
so
with those water spirits.
so a reason I asked it because you were talking about the mermaids earlier on with your maid in Zimbabwe.
Yeah,
Did you get to see any mermaids or anything like that?
yeah, 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 absolutely, absolutely. Yeah, the Zimbabwe's thick with them.
And you saw the mermaids?
Yeah, you see them in secluded pools. You can see them here sometimes.
Yeah,
It's
because I
like
just done a whole documentary on it. Well,
okay,
that's why I'm
amazing.
asking you. I'm so interested in it. Yeah.
Yeah. So you'll often walk into a pool, and you or near a waterfall or something, and you have this feeling. It's like a zing, and there'll be something at the corner of your eye, gone. Um, that's them. That's them. They're very shy. They don't like to be seen, really. Um,
But like,
in my
would you
experience.
see it in like your friend that's not, I don't know what you call it, like spiritually aware, gifted, whatever? Would that person not see it, and you would see it though, or would you both? Would that other person
Well,
see it as well?
they would be like, "What's that?" And maybe it was an otter, um, or maybe a leguan or something. But if you close your eyes and you kind of can see, you close your eyes, you'll be able to see them swimming away.
So they're like shapeshifters.
Yeah. Completely. They are actually.
Okay.
They sometimes present themselves as otters, the otter spirit.
Okay.
Yeah, because I mean, I interviewed a lot of people that had sightings, and also it was interesting because it's like interesting when one person has a sighting, but I found like two families that were together having a bra, and they both all the people in both families saw it. And that's interesting because then you like because if
Yeah.
one person sees it, then it's like, oh, you're hallucinating, maybe you
Yeah.
you can kind of, like, well, did you really see it? But if two families, whole families see this thing, I mean, they were so scared they jumped on the back of the bike, raced home, and they all slept in the same room that night.
Yeah.
So
It's a profound thing, you know. It's like because it starts making you question, you know, all of your belief systems, you know, whether you're alone or not, or whether they're there or whether they're not. Why couldn't you see them and now suddenly you can?
Mhm.
It's unnerving, you know.
Questions your reality. So what do we really know?
Exactly. And this is what I had the trouble with because I couldn't tell what was reality and what wasn't. And I didn't realize at the time when I was battling with that whole story was that this was my reality and it's okay. There's nothing wrong with it. I'm not psychotic. You know, I've broken through the veil and this is what I'm seeing, you know?
yeah.
So we've been taught to question ourselves. We've been taught to say that these things are bullshit and that they don't exist and that there's nothing like that out there and like we're hallucinating and
Yeah, but that's come from the religious tradition, isn't it?
yeah,
It's come from the doctrines and the dogmas that have been brought through.
yeah. And that's kind of why they don't like showing themselves because there's that judgment and the fear and the attack from that, you know.
Yeah, sure.
And also they don't want to hurt us, you know.
Mhm.
So getting a fright is upsetting for them.
Yeah, sure. But have you got anything else, Lee? Sorry, I don't want to keep Robert here all night.
No, 100%. I'm happy, man. I think if
Cool.
Robert can come on some other time again, we can chat about some other stuff.
Yeah, geez, we'd love
If
to
you'd
get
be
more
happy
into
to
the
do that.
mermaid stuff, like the whole mermaid, another one on mermaids. That'd be
Yeah,
that's,
yeah, that would be cool. We'll explore that.
No, cool. No, awesome, man. Yeah, Robert, thank you very much for your
Robert,
time, man. It's
yeah,
much
thanks,
appreciated.
man.
Yeah.
It
Thanks
was
for
wonderful. I really enjoyed that.
Yeah.
That was great. I really did.
Especially
That
the
was so
Tokoloshe
cool.
dialect there.
I know. I'm gonna like. I
Cut
don't know.
myself.
I'm gonna sleep now. I'm gonna be looking at my leg, going like, gee, I'm gonna go find some bricks now and put my bed in.
I've taken him off.
Cool.
He's gone. Don't worry. It's all good.
Yeah, cool. No, awesome. Robert, thanks, man. Much
Okay.
appreciated
You're
for your
welcome.
time, man.
Yeah,
Awesome.
thanks for sharing the time with me. I had
Is there
fun.
anywhere people can find you, by the way, before you go? Have you got a website? What's
Yeah,
the
they can.
website name? Yeah.
Well, it's a weird Wix website. It's got a long blah blah blah, but you can look for Gentle Rain Traditional Healing.
Gentle Rain Traditional Healing.
Yeah,
Okay.
Gentle Rain Traditional Healing, and you'll find me on Facebook, and then I've got all of my web address and contact details and all
Stuff
of that on there.
Okay.
Yeah.
Do you like to be called Gentle Rain or Robert, like for the podcast? Do we
So a lot of
address you
people,
as?
yeah, I mean, a lot of people call me both. I mean, I don't mind. I don't mind either. Robert,
How did you get
Vula.
Gentle Rain?
And your surname is Yule.
Yes.
Isn't Yule
Yeah.
time supposed to be kind of almost like Halloween?
Yeah, well, Yule is
I know
we
Yule's a pagan
Yule.
tradition.
I don't know how we got that name. I think it might have been my Lithuanian ancestors
Okay.
coming into England, and the dude couldn't spell the name properly, and he was like, "Okay, whatever, Yule's," because it's Yule's actually, Yules.
Okay.
That's on my grandfather's birth certificate.
Okay.
So yeah, but it's
Interesting.
just been cut to Yule now. So Mvula, my name, came from the fact that every time I did ceremonies, it started raining.
Ah, okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
cool.
So it's okay.
like
So that's so it's the so what it's that's in Shona, or what language is that?
so Mvula is Xhosa, actually.
Also, okay.
Yeah,
Okay, cool.
Okay.
Nice.
Mvula is rain. So it was
Bula.
loosely translated to gentle rain. So it was actually David Standing Deer who gave me that name. Because I was at my graduation. Uh, it was it was a weird day when we drove down False Bay, down to Glencairn, and there was just dolphins and whales everywhere. You know, all doing that huge pod
Wow.
thing, chasing each other. And then when we got to Glencairn, it just started raining, and I
Oh,
was like, "Oh
actually,
man, really
I live in Glencairn. It's weird.
nice,
Yeah. Sorry. Yeah, and then
nice."
it started raining.
Yeah, it just started raining, and but it was this gentle, beautiful, soft, feminine African rain, you know. So my
Oh, beautiful.
we in the middle of the ceremony, and David stops and he's like, "Your ancestors want you to know that you come with the rain, you know, you have such a gentle rain about you. So you will be called Gentle Rain from now onwards."
Oh, lovely, man.
Yeah, so and then I kept that name because it was so appropriate for that time. And um yeah, then I found the Xhosa name, which was Mvula, which was rain. I couldn't find something that was close enough to gentle rain. So
Okay.
Mvula is a close approximation to that. That's that soft morning misty
Drizzle.
rain.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool, man. Beautiful.
Awesome. Yeah, great.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Cool.
You're
Thanks
welcome.
so much, Robert. Yeah, man. I look
Yeah,
forward to
thanks,
doing
man.
a session with you, man. I really am.
Yeah,
I'm
cool.
really excited.
Yeah.
Get that
We'll get rid of
Tokoloshe
that
over there.
Tokoloshe.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Can't
no,
wait.
cool.
Yeah, he's gone, by the way. So you don't have to worry.
Okay, cool.
It's just
Oh,
saying
Thanks.
that, Will.
I know.
No, I'm saying that. But hey, if you're worried about it, um, bath in bitter aloes.
Bitter aloes.
Yeah.
Where do I get
Any
that
any
from?
dark any dark muti like that. They don't like darkness. They don't like that dark stuff because it sends them back to the underworld or it
Okay,
chases them
so
off.
where do I get bitter aloe from? Is it
You can
Clicks.
get it from clicks or anything like that.
Clicks got
You
bitter
just
aloe?
go,
Okay.
yeah,
I think that.
those the there's like all those traditional medicines there, like the little bottles of all bus and all of that. Just next
They
to
got
them.
muti and clicks now.
Yeah, man.
That's
It's all I've
Natural.
cool.
It's
always
a
had.
natural herb. Natural herb.
I've always had.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you just look for the green packets, the green clicks packets, and they've got like borax and bicarb and all of those. You'll see aloes there.
Okay.
Um, yeah. And you
Great.
just take a couple of them, a couple of those crystals, pour it in your bath. If you do bath, if you don't bath, then just get a tub, put a couple of those crystals in, and then just wash. And that'll chase anything off. You can
Okay,
wash your
great.
house with it if you want, if you're paranoid about it.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Jeez, okay. Yeah,
But it's not a
You're
big
gonna have,
story.
you're
I've
gonna have
only
to
got
get like you're gonna have to get like a couple of bottles.
yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know if there's enough clicks around. I don't know if there's enough clicks around. I don't know. I've only got a shower, so I'm gonna get into my surf bucket and like
Oh
put
my
my
God.
wetsuit in and like
Get one of those metal tins. You know the guys that you used to do all the washing in.
Yeah.
Just
oh
pour it in
yeah,
there and then go and sit in there for a while.
oh yeah,
Yeah.
And,
yeah,
and
the
do it
cold
do it
plunge.
do a Wim Hof thing. So do it
I
like
know
ice bath.
exactly. Actually, yeah, that's now it's inspired me. I'll actually start a new movement. I'll call it the Wim Hof aloe, bitter aloe Tokoloshe
Yeah.
clearing modality.
There we go.
So cool.
Okay,
Yeah,
No, we
cool.
just
cool.
talking shit. Yeah.
Okay, sorry, Robert. Okay,
Cool.
awesome,
Robert, thanks,
Robert.
man.
Cheers,
All
man.
right, man. All
Okay,
right,
Cheers.
cheers.
bye, bye, bye.
Bye.
Cheers, bye.
Okay, that was interesting.
Yeah, that was great, Lee. I really enjoyed that a lot.
Don't
Amazing.
be scared now. Don't be scared, but just so you know what to do. Get rid of that Tokoloshe. Give it a name before you go. Hey, Fred, it's time to go, mate.
Fuck you, Freddie. I'm putting my legs in the ground.
Now, what's your ex-girlfriend's name? Your mom thinking?
Satan. Lucifer.
Your daughter's mom, what's her name?
Satan. Serena.
Serena, move from my leg.
Yeah, fucking humpy my leg.
Oh, Jesus. No, I'll cut that out.
What, Satan?
All right.
I can give that in. Give that in. It's
She gotta
funny.
listen. She gotta listen to this.
No, she's never gonna listen. If she listens to this, I'll go back to court for something. I don't know. That's why, like, it's funny. I was just thinking of this today. Like, you know that saying, happy wife, happy life.
Yeah.
It's happy ex, happy life. Because like, it's way more expensive to piss off the ex, because like when we were together, you know, if we had an argument, we would just have an argument. Now, if we have an argument, we go to court. So it's like, now I gotta be really careful what we argue about, because it could cost me like 20 grand. So happy ex, happy life. I know. Why can't I just
talk close
get
to
that
her? Say to him, listen, Fred. Go
I'm
across
telling
that.
when I get in the house next time, I'm gonna shake that leg like no one's business, shut the door and run.
The right leg, eh? You must just like give it a
I'm gonna shake
Give it a
every
bit of a
fucking
tap,
leg. I'm
say.
just gonna shake my whole body in there. Like,
call him, say, Fred,
maybe I got
listen,
some
dude.
demons that'll get out of there, and I'll just shut that door, run away.
Fred, go hide behind there, but she's yours. Go for it.
It's just not looking, just jump on her back.
We can create a tupa. We can create a tupa and send it that way.
Anyway, you can keep that in. That's quite funny, all of that.
Yeah, now I'll do it. Okay. All right, dude, man. Yeah.
Okay, sweet, buddy. I'm gonna go.
Much
get on my
appreciated. I think it
knees.
was a quite long one again tonight. I think it's actually very interesting. Robert's very interesting. I think it's
and also what's
interesting
cool
topic.
about Rob is that he's that's his name like suits him, because he's like he's so humble and he's so down to earth. You know, like a lot of the time when you talk to people that are talking about the little slug aliens on your back, they've got that little look in their eye, you know, and you're like, you don't know if you can.
Yeah, but geez,
you don't know what to think of them. But like,
that was
at least,
completely off topic, dude. I was like, what the fuck, really? Because
I know, but
the only reason why I brought up the alien thing is because I know Krita Mutwa had a great alien. I don't know if they were in communication, but I know he had high regard for them because he had a great alien pendant on his necklace.
oh yes, yeah,
So I
no,
know-
he was into the Greys. He the whole
Yeah. So I
The
think
whole,
Rob's right in a way to say that they've been around for a long time.
But also
and,
Krita Mutwa had the lizard, the reptilians. Him and David Icke
Yeah.
got together, and there's a 6-hour interview with him and David Icke
Yeah, just yeah.
about the reptilians. Just
But,
ask him about that.
Yeah, but that was very interesting. Yeah, very cool.
Oh, that was awesome. I loved it.
Yeah, but anyway, guys, thank you, man, again for listening to us as always from around the world. I see somebody's joined us from. I saw one person coming on from what's that place, Moldova.
Jeez, Moldova.
Which is pretty cool.
Wow.
Yeah,
Awesome.
Moldova, lekker. So to you out there in Moldova, thank you for listening, and for the rest of
Yeah.
the guys around the world and
Jeez,
girls.
what's his name? Let's just say the
No,
guy
I
from
don't know. I don't
Moldova.
know names. It just comes up like with a number like X15G follows.
Okay.
Yeah,
Cool,
so,
man.
okay.
So I'm
Cool.
gonna.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks, Lee. I'm gonna go get on my
Well-
knees now outside
Yeah.
in the
Go for
dark.
it. Cheers, all.
Cheers, bro.